Hey everyone, Alice here and welcome back to the Never-Ending Tea Party. Make yourself comfortable with a nice hot drink as we continue with episode 4 of Ace Attorney Investigations. In the last video, Edgeworth finally managed to prove Gumshoe's innocence and had a long chat with Kay. However, we are still no closer to solving the actual murder, so hopefully we're going to make some headway with that in this video. If you haven't seen the start of this case, have a look at the playlist in the description. This case starts from part 12, so you can just catch up from there if you like. And with that being said, let's go. So we're in defendant lobby number 1. What is this incredibly overpowering sweet scent? That's just me, Edgeworth, don't worry about it. It smells like flowers. Uncle Bad, is this it? Isn't that Detective Bad and Kay over there? How could you miss them, Edgeworth? They're right there. It looks like she managed to escape the bailiff. Oh, that looks like perfume. No, that's not quite it. Aw, too bad. But it's so pretty. I think you're still a bit too young to be wearing that. But since you found it, I guess I can let you keep it. But it might be evidence. Thanks, I'll treasure it always. Those two seem to get along rather well. Oh, here, I've got something else for you. Swiss roll. Yay, thank you, Uncle Bad. I suppose Bad did know Faraday, didn't he? So it makes sense that they know each other. They seem to know each other anyway. Earlier, I ate one of these with Gummy. Gummy? Oh, you mean Gumshoe. Gummy is... He was trying to be nice to me because I was going to get in trouble. And then he got in trouble because he lied to protect me. Yeah, but that was his silly decision. Gummy. I know he didn't kill Daddy. Don't cry. Faraday would be sad if he saw you crying. I'm not crying. Kay. Oh, it's the mister from before, and the lady too. Don't you think it would be a good idea to go home for the time being? You're not involved in the investigation, so it's for the best if you do. Actually, I'm Uncle Bad's assistant, so I'm related to the investigation. Is that so, Detective Bad? Yeah, I guess. What? You were just scolding us like kids to not mess up the crime scene. And now you let this child run free? Why? Well, because she's a little kid and she's probably going to be happily doing whatever he tells her to do, right? People are free to investigate things outside of the actual crime scene. You also had a few things she wanted to look into. Got a problem with that? Ugh. I don't have a problem with that, but I am curious as to what Miss Yu is looking into. Uncle Bad, I'm going to go look somewhere else now, okay? Alright, I'm counting on you. Oh, that's right. Hey, mister. Yes, what is it? I know Gummy really isn't the bad guy. I mean it. So please... find the real bad guy, okay? You can count on me and Edgeworth. And maybe Franziska as well. I won't forgive whoever did this. But in the absence of the perfect piece of testimony and evidence, there is no one else who could be the true culprit other than Detective Gumshoe. Now that's quitting talk, Edgeworth. That's quitting talk. She wandered off while I was pondering. Okay. What do we do now? I guess we just look around. I think we've explored this area, haven't we? Isn't this where the crime took place? Am I... Well, I guess we just start by talking to Bad. Or getting real up close and personal with him. Detective Bad, what exactly was Kay searching for? Nothing that concerns you, boy. Oh, and I suppose it has something to do with Kay. It does, because she's Faraday's daughter. Anyway, hurry up and get to the point. He's so frightening, even now. I don't have time to waste. It sounds like you'd rather be left alone. I have something I'd like to confirm with you, once again. I don't have anything to say to you. Why is he being so unhelpful? Be that as it may, we still have questions that we need answers to. Now then, first of all, what is the overpowering smell that is permeating this room? It was probably that perfume thing that Kay just found. Upon entering this room, I thought I was going to suffocate. Oh, Edgeworth, calm yourself. It's that ultra-strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it. Did she now? I wonder how that happened, huh? I was having a bad time of it myself. I didn't think twice and opened the window. But that smell's still here. Perfume, huh? So the sweet scent in the air is perfume. Well, it's giving off quite a stench. I bet it's some cheap, no-name brand. Don't be a snob. She said it's a famous brand from overseas. It's a knockoff. Yes, definitely a knockoff. No disrespect, but she forced one of those bottles on me. Here, little girl, you can have it. I was born for a much more expensive and refined perfume. However, seeing as how you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it. Miles Edgeworth, you will hold on to this bottle without fail. Don't you have a bag? Put it in your bag. Why can't she ever be honest about her wants? Because she's very insecure. You know this, Edgeworth. She's very insecure. That is a pretty bottle, though. Look at that. That's cute. I decided to keep my cursor on, by the way, so that you guys can actually see when I'm pointing at something. I did have it off because this game doesn't have like a custom cursor, and it's just the normal one, so it looks a bit like meh. But I decided to keep it on in the end. So now we have the perfume Miss Yu wears. Just fantastic. Is that all you wanted to talk about? If so, I'm going back to investigating. Actually, I still have a few other things I wish to inquire about. During the recess. So, you were in this room the entire recess? Like I said, I made a call to the precinct to get that big lug down here. But other than that, I was waiting for the recess to end in here. I think there's probably something in this room that is going to give something big away. I don't trust you at all. I don't trust her. She has a motive for murder. I don't entirely trust him either, Bad. But at the minute, I'm stumped. I think I'm missing, well, I haven't found, the game hasn't shown us a key bit of evidence to incriminate anybody. So. At least your story is consistent. Earlier you stated that you were in this lobby with Ms. Yu. Yeah, I ran into her in the hallway. She said she wanted to talk to me about something, so we came in here. Then what you're saying is that until Detective Gumshoe's arrival, you and Miss Yu were in 2 different locations. Yes, I am. Interesting. Speaking of that lawyer, she seems to have a great dislike for you. Oof. let's see. Miss Yu is the sister of the victim of the KG8 incident. And as I recall, Detective Bad was the lead detective on the case. I wonder if the reason for her disdain isn't simply because you failed to guard Cece, but because you were the lead detective on the case. You knew? I also know that today's trial involving the Cadopian Embassy's staff member is being referred to as the second KG8 incident. Uh-oh. Now then, Detective, I believe it's time you were honest with me and told me the truth behind your relationship with Miss Yu and Mr. Faraday and the KG8 incident. If you already know that much, I guess it'd be alright to tell you. Oh, okay, let's ask him. Now then, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the KG8 incident. It's not exactly a happy story. Other than the people who were directly involved, you two will be the first to hear what I'm about to tell. Ooh, law. The honest truth behind the KG8 incident. Faraday, you and I, as you already know, we three were involved with the KG8 incident. It's a lollipop. Of course it is. Has he ever taken that out? I wonder if in the Japanese original version that was on the DS, I wonder if this was a cigarette or if it was always a lollipop. I'm sure somebody watching this knows. Let me know in the comments. Because I've seen, in One Piece, Sanji is very well known for being a chain smoker. Essentially, he's always smoking. However, in the anime, well, I guess the dubbed version, they changed it to be a lollipop, which I get why they do that, if it's going to be shown for children. But I wonder if it's the same situation here, is what I'm trying to say. You mean the smuggling case involving one of the Amano Group's secretaries? That trial was just a front. A facade? Yeah, but the case became tainted. All because the witness who was going to testify about the Amano Group's ties to the smuggling ring, CCU, was killed. Then, what became of the secretary who was arrested? His name was Colin Deveray. Colin Deveray from the one that we just did. Do you remember from the one at the amusement park? He was Colin Deveray / Oliver Deacon. To be honest, the guy didn't know a thing about the smuggling ring. But he confessed to knowing about it anyway. Deveray was probably being intimidated by the big boss man. Just another scapegoat. Oh no, that makes me feel even worse for him. He just wanted to get back to his daughter and protect her. The boss man of the Amano Group? He can't seriously mean Mr. Ernest Amano. That can't be right. It's probably just Detective Bad's personal hypothesis. What is he trying to do? Suspecting Mr. Amano of being involved with smuggling? I suppose it would have been quite difficult to secure an acquittal after he confessed. But the man who killed CCU, Manny Cochin, was a completely different person. But since he's already been acquitted once of her murder, Mr. Faraday, how could you have let him go? If I remember correctly, I heard that Mr. Faraday had an important piece of evidence stolen from him. That wasn't Faraday's fault. It was mine. I wasn't vigilant enough. Faraday, Cece, I was supposed to protect them both. Miss Yu did mention that as well, about how Detective Bad was supposed to guard her sister. But even I, who was supposed to protect them, I fell into their trap. What kind of a trap? The holes in this jacket are a testament to that trap. You mean you were fired upon? You were shot at that many times in one gunfight? No. Only about half of these are from that case. But the reason I continue to wear this jacket is to remind myself of the lessons I learned from the KG8 incident. I see. I couldn't protect CCU, and the suspect was found not guilty. We had hit a brick wall, as far as the law was concerned. And that's when she came to the courtroom, the victim's sister. That's when I first met Callisto Yu. Ah, I see. Well, let's ask him about his relation to you then. About when you first met Ms. Yu. It was on the day the verdict of the KG8 incident was handed down, was it not? Yes, Faraday and I, we apologised to her from the bottom of our hearts. It was all we could do, but just saying you're sorry won't bring my sister back, she said. And then she gave me a hard slap across the face. Well, she certainly had a lot of self-control to stop at just a slap. If it was me, not even 100 lashes would have been punishment enough. Does Franziska have any siblings? I'm not sure. I suppose not. You said it herself, that she never wanted to see either of us ever again. But after that, you've seen her many times over, correct? Yeah, Faraday and I, even after the KG8 incident had come to a close, we continued to hunt down the smuggling ring and got involved in a variety of cases. So it was like their life's work then, I suppose. But it was no use. We cracked so many different cases. But the result was always the same. We couldn't find the real mastermind behind the ring. Is the ring really that big? Well, it's a global thing, isn't it? As we saw from the first case. The first case? The second case? Yes, sorry. The second case on the plane. It's a global thing, you know, they're smuggling from all over the world, so yeah, it must be big. It was in the pursuit of the ring that we met you once again. It was during another trial related to the smuggling ring. Faraday was the prosecutor, and I, as the lead detective, took to the witness stand. She appeared out of the blue as the defence attorney. Her client was related to the smuggling ring, and she was defending them? Yeah. Oh, that's strange. There's Faraday, though, look. Yu was pursuing the ring as best she could as a lawyer. I think she defended Rel this time, for the same reason. Yeah, she's just trying to get as much info as possible, I suppose. Come to think of it, Ms. Yu did say something to the same effect. I have my own agenda. I'm still on the hunt for leads regarding the KG8 incident, alright? And for that, you have not a single qualm about defending a known killer? Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Mr. Rel was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him, ever. So don't you dare suggest I was going to. It doesn't matter what her reason is. Helping a criminal is just despicable. You're so naive, little girl. I could have stolen this lollipop from you. That's how naive you are. How dare you insult the daughter of a von Karma? Just like us, you felt that she had hit the limit of what the law could do. That's all. The law is merely a tool. There is no limit to it, only the skill of the craftsman. Oh, that's very naive of you, Edgeworth, to assume that there aren't cover-ups and stuff. You two are still too young, but one day you'll know what I mean. But enough sidetracking. What matters is that we met you again in pursuit of the smuggling ring. That's all. Oh, okay, what about Faraday? So, what was your relation to Mr. Faraday? You even seem to know Kay fairly well. I met him when he was a rookie prosecutor. Known him ever since. And Kay, I've known her since the day she was born. Faraday and I, we cracked quite a few cases together. Why is that so hard for me to say? But you two seem to have made no progress at all in the Yatagarasu case. Did we touch a nerve? I only have one thing to say to you. No one knew more about the Yatagarasu than me and Faraday. That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial, to prove that Ral was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if he hadn't turned around and accused Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation. But I guess I won't be doing that either. I sense that there's more to that statement than meets the eye. Perhaps a bit more digging into the Yatagarasu is what's necessary. Well, we can't find out much about the Yatagarasu from this case because Edgeworth is still kind of like, oh, it's all a mystery in the case that we just did with where we were with Kay for the whole one, so... Alright, Yatagarasu. You claim to know much about the Yatagarasu. Would you care to share what you know with me? What you two should be looking for right now is proof of murderous intent towards Faraday and Ral. I agree, which is exactly why I'm asking you about the Yatagarasu. What? The KG8 incident and this second KG8 incident. Both of these cases are tied to the smuggling ring. And in both of these cases, the witness who was to testify about the ring was murdered. However, there is one point in which they differ, and that is the presence or absence of the great thief Yatagarasu. Mr. Rao claimed to be the Yatagarasu. However, in the middle of the trial, he suddenly declared Mr. Faraday to be the real Yatagarasu. Then, during the recess, they were both killed. Don't you find that to be the least bit odd? Miles Edgeworth, stop beating around the bush and just spit it out already. I believe that there must be some reason that the two men suspected of being the Yatagarasu were both killed at the same time. A reason, huh? And so, in order to catch Mr. Faraday's and Mr. Raoul's cold-blooded killer, I feel that I need to learn as much as I can about the Yatagarasu. If it will help you solve this case, then I'll tell you. I'll tell you the reason why we've never caught the Yatagarasu. What was that sudden outburst for? You almost made me whip you by accident. That would be terrible. Please don't do that. Ugh. It still accidentally whipped me anyway. There are three main reasons why the Yatagarasu will always be one step ahead. First, the Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. Second, the Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. Third, the The Yatagarasu doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind, ever. I see. So those are the Yatagarasu's special traits. Sounds like an incredibly elusive thief. The Yatagarasu has never been caught on tape, never tries to draw anyone's attention, and would never do something as lowbrow as commit murder. That's how I knew that Rel wasn't the real Yatagarasu right away. But you can't use that sort of logic on its own to prove that he wasn't. Huh. Listen, little girl, I'm not done talking yet. Gah. What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police, and the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy, the Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence? Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicise any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others, knew about. It's obvious Faraday was the Yatagarasu, surely. In that case, how can you be so sure that it was the Yatagarasu who sent it? That's easy. A special card that only the Yatagarasu uses was attached. That's how I can be so sure. And just what sort of card is it? Here, take a look at this article. Whenever the Yatagarasu wants to publicise something, a white card is sent along with the stolen information. But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. Ah, and that's how Detective Bad knew that Mr. Rel was a phony. Thank you very much. I have a much better understanding of the Yatagarasu now. Huh. Okay. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes? His Honour would like to transfer the evidence from today's trial over to you. So if you could please head over to the courtroom, it'd be much appreciated, sir. Understood. I'll be there shortly. Ooh, exciting evidence. Detective Bad, what does the law mean to you? What a difficult question, Edgeworth. Finding the answer to that question is the only reason I'm still alive. Ooh. I became a prosecutor to find the answer to that question myself, and to play a part in ensuring that all criminals everywhere are found guilty. Oh, we are in the courtroom. There's the judge. Oh, it's you, Mr. Edgeworth. It appears that His Honour is still a bit dispirited. For the first time today, I experienced what it's like to stand at the witness stand. I now have a greater appreciation for just how hard it is to give testimony. Well, there's no reason for you to be all depressed about it, Your Honour. As a judge, no one expects you to think about anything other than the verdict. Franziska, there's no need to further depress His Honour. But I'm not trying to, Miles. Your Honour. Your Honour, I've come to collect the evidence that was to be transferred to me. Yeah, what's wrong with him? He's so depressed. Your Honour, the evidence. Your Honour! Oh! You! Yes? How can I help you? I'd like to collect the evidence now, sir. Your Honour, do you think you can stay focused long enough to at least do your job? Yes, I'm sorry. And I would, except that the defence attorney has yet to arrive. She's busy with the investigation, so let's keep this brief, shall we? Very well. In that case, please confirm that all the pieces of evidence are present. Furthermore, the evidence that was used in the murders of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell are also included, so please go ahead and use them in your investigation into their case. Understood, Your Honour. The pieces of evidence that were used in the murder of those two men. This could be a very good chance for me to find new leads regarding their case. And maybe even something that will finally lead me to the truth. I've placed all of the evidence over at the prosecutor's bench for you. Aha, there it is. I see. Thank you very much. I will go and confirm that they are all accounted for. Let's have a look. So, this is the evidence related to today's Cadopian Embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag. You mean the evidence bag that was on the table in lobby number 2, right? Yes. Finally, we can now take a look at the evidence itself, and not just data about them. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine them while we have the time. Agreed. I want to take a good look at all of the evidence from the embassy murder too. And why is that? Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about. Wah! Don't point your crop at me just because you don't know something. And don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today. I see someone is still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma. It's all so real to see the knife up close. So we have the knife, the gun, an envelope. And what's this organiser doing here? Oh, that's right, I completely forgot to tell you. About what, Your Honour? They found Mr. Faraday's personal organiser inside that evidence bag of his. Detective Bad requested it be passed along to you. He said it would help the investigation. Detective Bad said that? What a strange stroke of luck. Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Might as well flip through it too. Okay, let's have a look-see. Well, let's look at the knife first. It's the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. Who would have thought that such a beautiful piece of art could be used for such a cruel act? And it's never crossed your mind that you use your riding crop for the wrong purpose? Yeah, you got her, Edgeworth. But let's look at the gun. I'm going to leave the organiser for last, just because it's new. This gun, it was originally used to kill the Cadopian Embassy staff member. When the crime was reported, the responding police found Mr. Rell still holding it, which led to his immediate arrest. And then, this gun took the original shooter's life. How ironic. Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at the organiser then. Let's see what we can find out. Mr. Faraday's organiser. It appears he was in the habit of using it. It looks like he wrote his strategy for getting Mr. Rell convicted in here. I have collected the evidence I need to prove that Rell was the killer. Between the handgun Rell had on him when he was arrested and the surveillance tape, I should be able to prove that he was the one. It appears that Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Rell was the killer in the case. The sound of his handgun going off was recorded with superb clarity on the surveillance video. Edgeworth, will you stop interrupting me, please? I also have evidence that I can use to prove that Rell is not the real Yatagarasu. And it would also appear that he had proof that Mr. Rell was not the Yatagarasu. No matter how he may try to play it, as long as I have the Yatagarasu's key, I can prove he's a phony. If I present it to him in court, it should clear everything up. Where's this key then? And he apparently also had a very definitive piece of evidence. It's been a long battle. I hope that this will finally bring it to an end. Yes, I believe that Mr. Faraday was well prepared to discredit any claim Mr. Rao may have made about being the real Yatagarasu. And he had a way to prove that Mr. Rao was the guilty party in the embassy murder. This organiser is a clue straight from Mr. Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later. Okay. Look, there's a picture stuck between these pages here. Is that the key? It appears to be a key. And a rather ornate one at that. Just look at the design on the handle. It looks a bit broken, maybe. The craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Yatagarasu's key Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organiser? The Yatagarasu's key? Detective Bad said something earlier. What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy. The Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence? Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicise any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others, knew about. Wrong voice. Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep this secret key safe. As the prosecutor on both the Yatagarasu and smuggling ring cases, has to be expected. Okay, yep. I wonder if we can look at that a bit more. Huh, that's odd. What is it? What is it? Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organiser. Ah, okay, so it didn't come from him then, maybe. That certainly is odd. The weapon that was used to kill the Kodopian embassy staff member was the gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife that was used to murder Mr. Faraday come from? Isn't it obvious? It was brought into the courthouse by Mr. Rell. That's the only logical conclusion, right? No, because it's not that easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse doors is checked thoroughly for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as this inside. In that case, how do you suppose this knife ended up inside the courthouse? I need to think carefully here. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organiser. However, it is a fact that this knife came from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there is one item listed in Mr. Faraday's organiser that no one has claimed to have seen today. The knife? The key, sorry. So in order to solve this mystery, I believe I will need to take another good look at the evidence. Miles Edgeworth, can I take the fact that you have yet to answer me to mean that you don't have an answer for me? Actually, I do know the answer, Franziska. What? Then what is it? One of the pieces of evidence we've been holding has been hiding a secret of its own. And it was through this piece of evidence that the knife was brought into the courthouse. I think it's this. If you look at the handle very closely, right? And then look at the handle of the knife very closely. It almost looks like it's part of the key. You see what I mean? We can't look at it in detail. I think it's this. They look like part of the same thing, in a way. Yeah. I think it's this. It's the only other thing that makes sense. What else is it going to be? The balloon? Oh, whoops, sorry. Wrong button. There we go. This Yatagarasu's key Mr. Faraday mentions in his organiser. This is how this is how the knife was brought into the courthouse. You're not making any sense, Miles Edgeworth. You just need to look a bit closer, Franziska, to see what I mean. Yeah, it looks kind of broken here. It looks a little bit... I don't know, it looks a bit weird, don't you think? Don't the colour and ornamentation of the key's handle remind you of anything? They do remind me of the knife. Very good. Don't be patronising. Both the Yatagarasu's key in this photo and the murderous knife have this very unique design on their handles. Furthermore, even though Mr. Faraday mentions the Yatagarasu's key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife. You don't seriously mean to say... It appears that you've finally caught up. And yes, I do mean to say that these two pieces are, in fact, one and the same. But that's impossible! He's so smug, isn't he? Oh. Even if that is what you believe, we should still investigate this possibility. Yeah, we have to eliminate it, right? Even if she's like, no, we have to prove that that's not right. Ugh. Now then, let us examine this knife in a little more detail. Yes, let's. I think... Oh, well, I hate this. I hate this so much. It's so awkward. Like, I can't move the... I can't move the crosshair. Well, I can with WASD. But I can't with the mouse, which is annoying. Anyway. It's the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. The handle and the blade itself both have beautiful designs worked into them. Look, there's even a flower-shaped design in this gold section here. If this hadn't been used as a tool for murder, I'd want it for myself. It looks like a letter opener to me rather than a knife. She seems to be drawn to the embellishments. Too bad this isn't mine to give. Wait, does that mean he would, like, give it to her as a present? Oh, no, whoops. Sorry. Okay. This is a very awkward way of looking at this thing. What about this? Surely. Yes. Oh. So, there are two keys then? Because surely we can do that with the other one. With the key. I can't believe it turned into a key. To think there was such a trick to this thing. So the weapon used to kill Mr. Faraday is actually the key the Yatagarasu stole. This piece of information is more critical than anything we've learned up until now. Yeah. So that means the knife turns into... Sorry. Oh wait, we only had a photo. Right, okay, I'm with you. Sorry, I got confused. I thought that we had the key and the knife, but we had a photo of the key. Right, I see. Frankly, I'm shocked. Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key aspect of this piece of evidence in his organiser. It's possible that even he had no idea the key was holding a knife blade inside. But if that's true, then only someone who knew about the key to knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday. Even among law enforcement, this key was top secret. We're looking for someone who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday. Meaning that the only person it could be is the one who sent the key in the first place. The great thief Yatagarasu. Well, I thought that Faraday was the Yatagarasu, but I guess not. Then maybe Mr. Rel really was the Yatagarasu. And he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario? No, not really. Especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced that Mr. Rel was not the Yatagarasu. Besides, as Detective Bad said earlier. But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. I see. Alright then, I guess the person who knows the trick behind this key is someone else, and that person is the real Yatagarasu. I wonder if it could be Callisto Yu. It seems that this key is truly the key to solving this case. But yeah, you got it, Edgeworth. Ah, okay, right. Well, let's have a look at this then. Last one. I took a quick look through these documents before the trial started. Well, I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to skim it. I suppose I should explain it to you then. Yes, you should. Perfectly, and in its entirety, if you please. On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart. Mackerel was brought in that night as a suspect and thoroughly questioned, because the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot. A simpleton of a man, that's what he was. Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't the only incriminating evidence we had. Mr. Rao was caught in the act on film by a security camera. Yeah, that's a rookie mistake. He was an even bigger simpleton than I'd thought. I can't believe he didn't notice a security camera. The Cadopian Embassy's security system is supposedly very well designed. Well, it's an embassy, isn't it? He may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area. So, have you seen the contents of the video for yourself? Yes, the surveillance video the security camera took was played during the trial by Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Rel on it. Even the sound of the gunshot was crystal clear. So, the footage included sound, huh? I don't think I'd ever want to see the moment of someone's death in real life. Me neither. Well, you kind of have to get used to that if you're going to be a prosecutor. It's just an unfortunate matter, isn't it? Part of the job. That's odd. We're short one piece of evidence. And the piece that's missing is the surveillance video that was played in court. The surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go? The video showing the moment in which Mr. Rao committed the murder. Where could it have gone, indeed? Are you done with your inspection of the evidence? Yes, I'm finished. However, Your Honour, I'm missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence. Your Honour, were you derelict in your duties? What? No, I dare not lick my duties. What do you take me for? Wow, he's just a very special kind of person, isn't he? No, Your Honour, the most important piece of evidence in today's trial, the surveillance video, is not amongst the evidence you laid out for me. But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the tape is still somewhere at the crime scene? Wow. This would be an absolute scandal. You can't just be like, oh, well, I thought it was there. Well, maybe it's still at the crime scene. I don't know. He'd be in danger of losing his job. There's something wrong here. Something about this missing piece of evidence. It would appear that for me to find the answers I seek, I will have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime. Defendant lobby number 2. Dun dun dun. Back we go. Wait a minute. Who is this? Is that Agent Lang? Did we start... What? I thought he was FBI, wasn't he? Interesting. Well, let's talk to him. Don't tread on that, Edgeworth. You're treading all over the evidence. Huh? That's Detective Bad, but who is he with? A future headache for you, Edgeworth, I can tell you that. I've never seen that officer before. He's still got his theme tune, though. So, did you find it? No, not yet, and I've looked everywhere. I see. Well then, please continue with the search. Understood. I'll continue the search. Here, so you're the one running this show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed at crime scenes. How dare you? Just who do you think you are? Indeed. What was that all about? And who was that man just now? Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life. Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him? I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids? I mean, that is a mirror. He could probably see you in the mirror. It looks like you were paying attention after all. Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head. Ah, so that mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. So, tell me, Detective Bad, who was that rude man just now? The guy came here from the Republic of Zhengfa to study. His agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honour of his family. He's travelling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch. By visiting various police departments around the world, he has a lot of dedication and time and money. That kind of travelling around the world it's not cheap. Especially if you're going to be staying in each one. He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe. How dare you? Even if he is rude. I'd rather have somebody that was not rude and a little bit useless, to be honest. Although actually, in a police officer, maybe not. Maybe you want them to be more useful. Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time. I agree. However, I can think of one young lady that statement also applies to. Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad? Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well. Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you. I highly doubt that it has nothing to do with me. Fine, if this is the game I must play, then I will take this opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. Okay, I suppose we have to talk to him then? I suppose it's impossible to enter or exit through these windows. Wait, no, not the windows, Edgeworth. We looked at these. Person of small stature could slip in. Oh, maybe it is important. Francisco, would you care to help me test my theory? So his theory is someone small could slip through these bars. Sorry, I skipped the earlier bit because I thought, well, we've seen this before. Ugh. Drat. I must remember to be more tactful around the vertically challenged. Right, now we'll talk to Bad. Earlier, you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You are quite the busy man, Detective Bad. Multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say. I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct? I don't have anything left to say to you, boy. Boy, you'll see. I will draw my answer from you, one way or another. Would it kill you to help us even a tiny bit in our investigation? I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think? Ugh. Please, we're asking you for just a bit more of your cooperation. Don't push me, kid. Time of the murder. I'd like to ask once again about what happened around here at the time of the crime. Honestly, Bad must be getting so fed up with Edgeworth and Franziska right now. He's constantly running around and asking him the same stuff. I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about? Things you don't know about? But aren't you supposed to know everything? He should... Wait, is it possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind that piece of evidence. I should try showing it to him. Well, that's unhelpfully vague, Edgeworth. It may prove to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. What are you talking about? The trick? Oh, is he talking about this? Maybe he's talking about this. Trick, right? Detective Bad. Did you know of the existence of the item in this photograph? Huh. Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagarasu case. In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and this Yatagarasu's key are one and the same? What? That's impossible. It looks like he didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarasu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. But hang on, it's just a button at the bottom of the key. / knife. Surely they would have figured that out at some point. Anyway. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarasu's key to prove that Mr. Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Isn't that correct? I guess so. However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife. Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this? I noticed that since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you were searching for. Yeah, that's right. And why were you searching for it? Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from our Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life? Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more. Alright, but it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change. Guess we back out of this and ask him this, time of the murder. Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1. My answer is still the same, and this is the last time I'm going to do this. That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up. Very confident of you, Edgeworth, but you've got me helping you, so, probably will be the last time. And find the truth behind this case. Yeah, let's do it. Let's pull his testimony apart. I'm going to have a very quick break, but you won't notice. Okay, and I'm back. Let's get on with this testimony. I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot. right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we all ran into lobby number 2. Goofing around? It sounds like the exact same story he told us before. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information that we can. But what we need to figure out is, was that the gunshot he heard, or was it the balloon? The timings don't match up with what the judge said, but, I mean, it could be possible that the judge heard the real gunshot 20 minutes before the trial reconvened, and and Bad heard the balloon popping. It'd be very difficult to prove which was which, though. But I'm going to keep that in mind, because I feel like the balloon's going to be important. Okay. Let's just start pressing him. Talking with you, that's fine, isn't it? We were talking about some trivial things. What, though? I want to know. I'm going to press.
Hold it!
I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Ms. Yu. Trivial stuff. It was nothing important. Oh, well, like what? The weather? TV shows you've been watching recently? That's for me to decide. Oh my goodness. Bad, please. Come on. Alright, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on then. What, you're just going to let that go? I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. This is going to be, key, isn't it?
Hold it!
Press him. Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary? I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give that other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now. Sure. Huh. Didn't hear any other strange sounds. Well, yeah, why didn't he hear the gunshot? The balloon popping. I wonder... Do we need to maybe present the balloon to him? Maybe we'll try that.
Objection!
Oh, that was it. Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? It's the same colour as the one Kay was holding. Oh, so you knew about that girl's balloon? Yeah, I was sitting with her up in the gallery. During the recess, just before we split up, I filled that balloon up for her. Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon. So, what about the balloon? I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point. What are you getting at? This fragment was found in the hallway, right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot. Oh, so the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh? On top of that, His Honour said that he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene. Yes, which means that His Honour heard the balloon pop in the hallway when you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at that time, yeah, if the judge heard it from across another building, Bad would have heard it, definitely. You were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? What? Don't give me a so. We just proved that there is a flaw in your testimony. The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivety cracking. Excuse me? And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? Oh, are they soundproofed? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked. Well, what is that supposed to mean? The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of a special sound-absorbing material. Then, you mean... Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound. No! Grr. I knew that's what he was going to say. Then that means that Scruffface's testimony is completely useless. If the rooms are soundproof, then of course he wouldn't hear any sign of a struggle. Ugh. Yeah, at this point, at this late point, we're having such a contradiction. That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now do you get it, kids? Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around. The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, if we examine this situation in reverse, then how did he hear the gunshot? If he couldn't hear the balloon pop, yet he said he heard the sound of the gunshot and then ran over to next door, how could he hear that? Aha, we gotcha. A person standing in the hallway should not be able to hear the real gunshot either. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. The window was open. Right? Detective Bad? If that is the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? Windows were open. What do you mean, how? I just did. It would appear that you have yet to realise the contradiction in your own words. Oh? How so? If the rooms are as soundproof as you say they are, then how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears? I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought. Which means... Whoops, wrong voice. Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have. It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? The state of the crime scene? Wait, can it be? It's that ultra-strong perfume Yu wears. She's spilled some of it. And way too noisy. The surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Wait a minute, I think I'm piecing something together. The surveillance video is inside the TV. The surveillance video was playing, and maybe that's the gunshot they heard. The sound of it from the video. That's a long shot, but that's where I'm going right now based on this stuff the game is showing us. Will these two go together? Right? It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet, the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through these open barred windows. Okay, but how is that relevant? Missing evidence, loud television. I know what I need to do here, but I'm not sure which ones are going to go together. The open window means that we would have heard the very loud television. Let's try that. It probably wants me to do those things. Oh, okay. Now then, what else besides a smell can go both in and out of an open barred window? Maybe a small bird, like a pigeon. Pigeons aren't small really, though, are they? A sparrow? Anyway, the answer is sound. Oh, yes, of course, and that. So no matter how careful the killer was, if the pigeons, oh my god, I've got pigeons on the brain now. If the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. Okay, and da-da-da, da-da-da, ba-dum. Done. The missing piece of evidence is a video. It shows the moment in which Mr. Rowell killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess and brought back here. If it disappeared after that time, then it's possible that the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. But then, how did Mackerel die? There should have been a gunshot, although maybe the windows were closed whilst he was shot. No one heard it because of the soundproofing. Then the video was set up to play when the windows were open, thus hiding the true time of the murder. Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking and let's start looking again. It's not a waste of time to think, for I have figured out where we should look. And where would that be? I believe we should examine the television. The TV? Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like. Well, it's going to be in the little VHS bit. Here. It's a video player. And there seems to be a videotape inside. It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end. Ah yes, the good old days of rewinding a VHS. This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance tape? Imagine if somebody's taped over it. I suppose, but... Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verified the contents of this video? Sure, knock yourselves out. Alright, then let's rewind this and see what we have. If I remember correctly, the footage of Rowell killing the embassy's staff member should be at about the 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. This should be about right. Now then, let's see. Ugh, this is the footage of Mr. Rowell shooting the embassy's staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along. Got it. We got it. But why is it here? This sound. What's the meaning of this? It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind this double murder. Do you mean that you've figured it all out then? Oh, that was let me do that again. Do you mean that you've figured it all out then? Yes, and all I have to do now is show what the gunshot detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. Fine. In that case, show me what you've deduced. Well, the open window, and through where they heard it from. Yeah, yes, Edgeworth, let me do it. So if we deduce the open window with the tape, right? Eureka! Yeah, it's gotta be that. If the door and windows to the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun and no one would have been the wiser. Well, that's true. This courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were. However, what happened in reality was Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu. All three of them heard the gunshots. Well, the windows in lobby number 1, number 2, and the hallway were open. So naturally, the people in those locations could hear it. But then, why would the criminal open the window in the first place? Well, to try and, cover up the time of the crime. So to make sure they had an alibi. To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. What was it that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of? I'm leaning towards when the crime took place. I'm going to try that one. Crime scene? No, because there's no way they would have gotten a body or bodies in and out of there. Murder weapon? You can't fake a gunshot wound. I don't think. Well, let's do that. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes. Yeah, like I said, to make sure they had an alibi. And they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. Dum 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 dum. So, that's why the tape was left running. You mean, the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes, which means that the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. Uh-oh. It must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period, and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Woohoo, we did it! I don't remember where I made that mistake from. Must have been the last video. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes? What is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she's identified the murderer, but that she wants to clarify something. I bet she does. I think she's the killer. It looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I will be right over. I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say. It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth. To be continued. I wonder how long is left. I'm gonna have a very quick peek at a rundown of this case just to see how long this next bit might be. Okay, so I had a very quick look at I guess you'd call it like a walkthrough. I didn't look at any answers, of course, because what would be the fun in that? But I did look at the contents page to see what it's broken down into. And it does look like this is the ending and there's not too much left that we need to do. So, might end up being a bit of a longer video. But let's get this one finished. Let's go. I don't trust you. Oh, there's Kay. What's she doing here? Kay, what are you doing here? Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating. But the object you're looking for has already... Kay, don't mind him. Please, continue with your investigation. Okay, you got it. Oh, is he just keeping her busy? Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for? If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer, any little task will do. Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought. she's just a kid, Franziska, and he's known her for, like, since she was born. Of course he cares. I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth. I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. The moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest? Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we've more than solved this case already. Don't you? We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds. Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery. And why, even Mr. Bad is here. A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander. I have a duty to see this case through to the end, no matter how it turns out. Oh, it's so dramatic. Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear what I've slaved away to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements during the time when our suspect was in the hallway. I also confirmed that there is no possible route of escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must without a doubt be Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have. Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion, and this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there is always time for a rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. It'd be more than appropriate to follow the rules of court in this case, don't you think? Would they be allowed to be in here? Wouldn't it just be, you know, only used during periods of, you know, trial? I don't know. I don't know enough about, you know, legal systems. Anyway. I'm absolutely like a rookie to think such a thing. But, alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony. If my logic is correct, then I've already won. All I have to do now is prove it by showing who the real killer is. Dun dun dun. Misuse argument. Alright. Everyone, sans the suspect, has an alibi for when the gun went off. Ah, but. That wasn't the real gun, was it? Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirmed that there is no possible escape route from lobby number 2, which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion. The Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Indeed. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth. But of course, there is no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump cards she has up her sleeve. So, press? Okay. Well, let's press then. Okay, how did she figure this out? I want to know.
Hold it!
The suspect? But I thought that Detective Gumshoe's alibi had already been proven. Are you joking, Edgeworth? I assure you, this is no joke. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier, but the detective was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll. Yes, that is correct. But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who can corroborate what he did since the snacking. Let's see, she's done her research well. Which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she's withholding. Yes, I'm doing that, Edgeworth. Furthermore... Press?
Hold it!
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunched eyebrows and lines on your forehead are back. Anyway, even if you believe it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene, lobby number 2, has no way out other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window and into the garden? That's the first place everyone looked, silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad? Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden. I suppose they really did check everything that could be relevant to the case. Let's press this one.
Hold it!
Are you absolutely positive that there are no possible routes of escape? Of course I'm sure. And why are you so certain? This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. If there was an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more of it in the future. What, common sense? I'm just doing what he told me to do. Ugh. Alright, well this is the last one to press.
Hold it!
You may think it's unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? But you're the only one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you'll know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing. I don't trust you though. Huh. I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. Suppose we've really reached the end now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. Oh, the gunshot thing? But before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Franziska or myself speaking with you about the subject. But there were witnesses. For you, there is your mentor who gave you an alibi. I see. As for the little Missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma, and I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or a bailiff or anyone else. But what makes you above the law, though? Anyway. Wait, so basically the only reason Franziska bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about them? Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went into lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot, to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived on the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard that gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when that gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate our perception. Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1. Care to explain how that could have been fabricated? Yes, I do care to explain. With this...
Take that!
That tape? Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Rell the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded into the video player in lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard was the gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do. Which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anyone heard the gunshots. That's the only thing I can think of too. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television's volume all the way up, and left the video to play. If played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. So, how long is the recess? Because I'm thinking that maybe what the judge heard was the real gunshot. Or maybe the murder happened I don't know. And since we now know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection!
Sounds from a television doesn't amount to much here. But of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew, didn't we, Miles? She stopped calling him Miles Edgeworth now. She's just calling him Miles. Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of this courthouse's rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right, and if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet, we heard the gunshot clear as day. And? That's it. End of story. But it's not. She's getting faster at frantically putting her makeup on. How should I explain why she was able to hear a gunshot from a soundproof room while the window was open? There is actually one common point between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2. And it is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each. Now, we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also opened.
Objection!
It's probably just coincidence that they were both open at the time.
Objection!
Nope. It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the window opened in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And the person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is... well, it's gotta be Callisto. It's got to be. There's nobody else. She's the one who spilled the perfume. She spilled the perfume and therefore opened the window. It must be her.
Take that!
She's 22. And she's already a defence lawyer? No. You wouldn't even be out of university. You wouldn't even be out of a... no, wait, you might. You'd be fresh out of your bachelor's degree at 22. There's no way you'd have done the bar by then. Oh well. Miss Callisto, I hereby formally indict you of the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. Why are you shocked, Bad? I've been saying this woman's suspicious for a while now. What? You indict me? Oh no, look, her lipstick. Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she is the killer? I don't understand her motive just yet. But of course, I'm serious. Because she is the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you still feel like laughing now? Ha 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 ha. Of course I do, Edgeworth. My argument must not be tight enough yet. Although, I never thought things would spiral into this. But I'll have you know, I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right? Oh, okay. You argue that the window was opened. However, do you have proof it was I who did that? Well, yeah, Bad told us because you spilt the perfume. Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours. Okay, well, we can absolutely, well, provide evidence for the first statement at least. This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second, or the truth will blow away. Now is the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test. Yes, let's do it. Do you know what? I'm so confident with this one that I am gonna... but was it Bad who told us that she did this? Well, what have we got to lose?
Objection!
Oh, what? Is that it? Okay. I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Edgeworth? I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume. I mean, would it... So what if it's just perfume? It's not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know. What? This isn't mine. She's trying to roll you up, Edgeworth, don't... That's right. It's mine, and I received it from Detective Bad, you see. Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like, but we know at least this much is for sure. That you are the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And that you're super easy to rile up. So, what about the perfume? While you were in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of this perfume. That's according to Detective Bad. Oh, I know. You also knew that if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window.
Objection!
Come now, I've already told you that it's all just a big coincidence. After we opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know. So maybe it was just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window.
Objection!
The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean... Miss Yu, you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1, when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct? Ooh, we're getting her, we're breaking her down. All of today's premeditated events could only have been thought up by you, Miss Yu. Grr. You accuse me of murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume. Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Look, I've had a lot of fun today, really. But I grow weary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Ah, okay. What's she gonna say? Why it couldn't be me? Well, I'll be the judge of that. Accusing someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a bit over the top. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. That's a bit weird to say, isn't it? Miles, her testimony is flawless. Yes, but no matter what sort of trick she may try to pull, she won't escape me. And if I'm lacking in information, I'll just draw it out of her, Okay, so we need to press then, I'm guessing. Okay, I don't think this is anything. She's just sort of whinging about it. I suppose I want to press her on this.
Hold it!
I formally request that you desist in your attack against my mentor. Yeah, I knew he'd be like all high and mighty about it. Yes, or we'll sue you for defamation. All I'm doing is telling the truth. Well, maybe more like spreading gossip. Although your adamant denials are, shall we say, just adding fuel to the fire. How dare you say such a thing? Calm down, little girl. Don't let her get to you. Ugh. Oh, why did you have to ruin my fun? Well, shall I continue? Okay, well, nothing. This is nothing. I mean, she's just saying it wasn't me. I think maybe we press this one because the whole thing about the knife with the secret, the secret trick where it turns into a key. Nobody knew about that. Let's press it.
Hold it!
At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, monsieur. Maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag. Miles, what do you think you're doing? I'm drawing the truth out of her. That's what I'm doing. Huh? But I don't recall a knife being presented at the trial earlier today. She's gonna stumble into it. She's gonna accidentally give something away. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday had yet to use. Ah, so that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had yet to present was the key the Yatagarasu had sent. And unless a key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. She's given it away. Did you really think you could trap me? Come now, be honest. Huh, I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you just said to your testimony. Sure, why not? I'll even say it as many times as you'd like. So, do you think we present the key? Or the knife? I think the key because it specifically says about how it turns into a knife. We need to prove to her that actually you could have done this. Let's try it. Yes. Monsieur, I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. This is a picture of the key the Yatagarasu sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it, in fact, has the secret ability to transform into a knife. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yatagarasu's key and the murderous knife. You knew that the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yatagarasu's key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Grr. Do you understand now? Just knowing of the existence of the... Yes? I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing it to me from that far away, you could be lying for all I know. You would, even now, still feign ignorance. I'm not feigning anything. But we can't have you accusing me of a crime with false evidence now, can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma, I've heard some very interesting rumours about him. Stop trying to turn it to Von Karma. It's nothing to do with this case. Ugh, are you mocking my papa? Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. Now, take a good look. This piece of evidence is more than real. Wow, who knew there was such a trick to this thing? Are you satisfied now? But of course, you knew from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew that the knife and the Yatagarasu's key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you, who isn't a member of law enforcement, and who would never have been privy to this trick, would have never known about it to begin with. Wait, is she the... She's not the Yatagarasu. I mean... I don't know at this point, because Kay, later on, is like when we met her in the previous case, Kay was like, I'm the Yatagarasu, I took it over from after, you know, from the previous one. So, I don't know. Furthermore, there's something that the Yatagarasu sent to the police. How did you have knowledge as to what it was? Actually, I heard it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. L off, he told me. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot, but there's no way for us to check that because he's dead. He also told me about the key turning into a knife at that time, but he didn't know about it. She's lying. But he didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms.
Objection!
No, that's wrong. What you are saying is simply not possible, and we know that from this. His organiser. Yatagarasu's key. Maybe not then. Okay, well, that's that theory. Oh, and why not? Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife within the key. For within these pages, he mentions nothing about a knife.
Objection!
I guess that would be it, wouldn't it? I'm not sure he would have written everything in his organiser, you know? Wouldn't something of this importance be better left to oral communication?
Objection!
Unfortunately, that is also impossible. Because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. Oh, she's gone and done it. Tch. What would have been highly classified information, even within the police force, and is something that even the lead detective on the case didn't know. Why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition? Yeah, got her. Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much of a reason to. She's insane. She's mad. Looks like I gave a pretty lame excuse, huh? How can you laugh at a time like this? She probably just realised the flaw in her logic and is actually in a panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with. I suppose you're right. Ms. Yu, I'd like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife. Do you now? Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me? Oh, I will, and I'll wipe that smile off your face by the time we're through. This is it. The moment of truth. The secret behind the Yatagarasu's key. Well, she must be the Yatagarasu then. Only one person would have had knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would know from the start that the Yatagarasu's key could change into a knife? The Yatagarasu. Must be.
Take that!
There is only one person who would have known about the dual nature of the key. And that is the person who sent the Yatagarasu's key to the police. That is to say, the Yatagarasu herself. Ooh. Are you saying that this lawyer is the great thief Yatagarasu? Miss Yu, you used Mr. Rel to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You, who professed to bear a grudge against criminals. Why? Why do something like this? Uh-oh. Oh no, I can't do this. She's just laughing hysterically. We got her though. Who would have thought that you, a stupid rookie prosecutor, would see through me? He's a prodigy, that's why. He's like gifted. He's a genius. You're sending the biggest chill down my spine right now, Edgeworth. That's a weird way to put it. This feeling of thrill, it's even greater than when I sneak into some place. You killed Faraday? I said that in a weird voice for bad. Why? Answer me, Callisto Yu. Callisto Yu, huh? That's not my real name. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagarasu. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. For you see, he had discovered my true identity, which is why I had to erase him from the world of law. I made Rel an offer, an acquittal for a little favour in return, so she was trying to get him off free, even though she claims to hate criminals. All he had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday of being the Yatagarasu in court. But once we entered the recess, Rel was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw my plan into a complete mess. Yeah, because Rel would have been like, oh, she told me to do it. I chased after them and eavesdropped on them through a crack in the door. That Rel caves to only two things, money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined if Mr. Faraday held on to Rel any longer. Plus, if I had let them continue on the way they were, I would have been found out. That's why I had no choice. I had to kill them both. But how? How'd you do it? I want to know. But didn't you say that you despised criminals? But do I? Really? You. Have you forgotten about the KGA incident too? Maybe. What sort of woman would... So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence that you sent? Well, I had a good idea of what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Rel wasn't the Yatagarasu by using this Yatagarasu's key as evidence, and that he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With a weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. Because who in their right mind would think that something like this could be a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 on the pretext that I had to talk with Mr. Faraday. And in order to get in with him, I pretended to be worried about something. He then let me hold the Yatagarasu's key, just like that. He never noticed that I had changed the key into a knife inside that plastic bag. Oh, that's the plastic bag, that's where that comes in. And he didn't have the chance to take note of the knife that took his life. How could you kill him? I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought to give him a quick and painless death. But if you killed Mr. Faraday first, there was no need for you to kill Mr. Rel as well. I believe I mentioned why when we were placing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having accidentally created an eyewitness, and how that led the killer to think about setting them up as though they'd killed each other. Then the trick with the surveillance tape. Yes, I hadn't actually planned to use a gun. The risk was too high that I'd be caught. However, that's when I remembered the existence of that surveillance tape. which is why I had Ral help me set up the crime scene. And after all was said and done, I rewarded him for all his hard work with a bullet. She's really smart and terrifyingly manipulative. You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you betray a client? Client? If you want to talk about who was a client of whose first, it was me. I was the client in the murder of the Cadopian embassy staff member, Diedman. I still don't know how to say this. You ordered a hit job. You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad? I had Diedman killed because he was about to give away info about the smuggling ring. Now, who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination? It can't be. You're... That's right. I'm a member of the smuggling ring. Oh, so much for noble thief Yatagarasu. It's not noble at all. What? How could this? You don't mean... You're working with Manny Cochin too, do you? Maybe, maybe not. Guess you'll never know. The Yatagarasu claims to be noble, but you're just another cold-blooded murderer. That's right, little girl. The Yatagarasu is just another killer. Hang on a minute. Hang on, let me check. Let me check something. What? What? She's 13 in this? I thought she was like at least 17, 18. She's 13 here? No wonder everybody's talking to her like a child. She literally is a kid. What? How old's... In this case, then, I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments, and please, if you know, please do tell me. But how old is Edgeworth supposed to be here? I'm sure I could figure it out by looking at, his age and, I'm sure it's... What? She's 10. So, she's only 3 years older than Kay. Kay seems younger than 10 here. Kay seems like 7. I swear, they just pull these names, these ages, sorry. They just pull these ages out of thin air. He's 60 and he has a 13-year-old daughter. Wow. He's 24! Look at that face! He's had a rough life if he's 24. What on earth? They really do just pull these ages out of nowhere. I keep saying names, I don't know why. The names are kind of clever, but... Anyway, sorry. Sorry to interrupt in such a, tense moment, but I had to look that up. Be quiet, you. Yatagarasu. You can run from the law, but you'll never escape it. So just humbly accept the judgment of this court. She's going to escape, I bet it. Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know what that is? Is there more than one? Are there 3? Haha, no? Well, let me tell you. It means that the Yatagarasu has more than one razor-sharp way to do her work. I thought it was that there were 3 of you. Uh-oh. You really are too naive, Edgeworth. You even handed the Yatagarasu's key right to me without a second thought. Everything may not have gone according to plan, but I'll still gladly take it. You mean the key was your real target? And even after I gave you such great advice, didn't I tell you to always keep a good eye on a criminal? Or you may regret what comes of your negligence. You two, get down. Is she going to shoot him? Oh no, I feel sorry for Franziska now that I know how young she is. She's just a child. My body. I can't move. Hey, mister, to your right. You. Uh-oh. Are you alright, Franziska? I'm perfectly fine, Miles. Her voice is shaking, but it looks like she's unharmed. Where did Kay go? Oh, no. Maybe... Do you think Bad gets shot trying to maybe protect Kay? Oh, he's okay. Okay. Sorry, but it looks like she got away. Oh, goodness. From a courtroom where there are hundreds of police around. Okay. I called the precinct. They should have a perimeter set up soon. Detective Bad, are you alright? I heard a gunshot. I'm okay. Just got another hole in my jacket. He may say he's fine, but he looks quite shaken. But more importantly, boy, I mean, Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma, oh, we got respect points. Are you two hurt? I'm absolutely fine. I'm also alright, thanks to Kay. Speaking of Kay, where is she? I don't know. She just sort of disappeared. I'll go look for her. Oh, and hey, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Detective Bad, sir. I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't worry, sir. It's not your fault. Oh, well, I lied to you guys too, after all. I heard about what happened from Kay. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. But he did it for a good reason. But in this case, you were protecting Kay and her feelings. Looks like you just might have what it takes to be a real detective. Ah. Now, don't you ever lose that detective spirit, okay? You got it, Pops. Pops? Wait. Oh, no, he's just being silly. Pops? Watched one too many detective dramas recently, have we? Way to single-handedly destroy the cheery atmosphere with one snarky comment. I should get back to the investigation. I swear, I'll catch you if it's the last thing I do. Be careful, Detective Bad, and take care. Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again someday. Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find out the truth behind everything. Yes, well, I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison. Why is the judge miserable? I can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe. That was no problem, really. Haha. I mean, I lied too, so I didn't help anything. It's really not your fault, Your Honour. Well, even if we didn't have His Honour's testimony, I think that lawyer would have found another way to get you convicted on her behalf. Yeah, I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as a detective. Well, so long as you're not fired, you should work hard, give all that you have, and perform your duties well. Oh, and one more thing. Kay left a present for you with me. She did? Oh, what is it? What was it that Kay left for me? The proof of their friendship. The Swiss roll? Maybe?
Take that!
It's a courthouse special Swiss roll. Can I really have it? Yes, it's a present meant for you after all. Thanks a bunch. You have no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now. Sure, go go ahead. The Swiss rolls Detective Gumshoe and Kay brought together. While the one Kay saved never reached her father, it would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective. He's so happy, it's as though he's having a welcome back celebration of his own. Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him. Whoop, that was good, pal. I can't believe I got to eat 2 of these delicious things in one day. It's like I'm in Swiss roll paradise or something. I've got to thank Kay myself. Hey, wait, where is she? You only noticed just now? Was his mind not present when we discussed her earlier? Detective Bad left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him. Yeah, you betcha, pal. I'm gonna go help him. Oh, but first... You know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be so rude to you anymore, huh? I'm gonna stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Oh, look at his face. He's so... Bless him. Edgeworth, you saved him. Just got to accept it. You've got like a loyal puppy now. I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement. We should go home too, Miles. We have to hurry and report what happened to Papa. Agreed. Well, I'm afraid we must be going now, Detective. Roger, sir, and don't you worry, I'll investigate the next case we're on real well. I'll, be counting on you. The scent of trouble is definitely in the air. Thus, like a bad dream, my first outing at a court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as a prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. After that, he became my direct subordinate. I've tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he has caused me. Oh, poor Gumshoe, he's just trying his best. But I suppose that's just how things are. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... So we're back here then. So, do you remember now? Yes, I remember everything. Kay, it's been a while. Kay, you sure grew up a lot. Of course, but thank goodness, I thought you two had totally forgotten about me. You know, I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time? Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. They lived really far away, so I wasn't really able to come back here all that much. Oh, is that what happened? Well, I'm just glad you're all right. So, does it all make sense now? You betcha it does. Oh, you know what? I was going through my father's bookshelves recently, and...
Hold it!
Actually, there are still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay. Huh? First of all, why did you come all this way to see me? And second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu? Yeah, that's what I want to know. The Yatagarasu is Callisto Yu, the woman who killed your father. No, you're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father. Oh, so it was as I thought, then. Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu? Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelf recently, and I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure. But that's impossible. What's with that look? You don't believe me? It wasn't just the expression on my face. I clearly said it was impossible just now. Alright then, how do you explain this? It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing. Yep, that's Little Thief. Truth be told, this is the Yatagarasu's greatest secret. and this little gizmo was used by my father. Wow, Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor, he was a really great thief, huh? Yeah, my father worked really hard to steal the truth. But he was killed, and the Yatagarasu was no more. She's got a key look on her hair, I just noticed that. But despite that, the Yatagarasu has been spotted again recently. Someone other than you? Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article. The Yatagarasu sent the embassy a calling card? Yeah, meaning this person's a fake. I'm almost certain that Callisto Yu lady is behind this. Because the real Yatagarasu would never send something like a gaudy card out. But the Yatagarasu did send a white card along with anything to be publicised. That's what Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves. Well, as soon as I heard the news, I got all wound up and I knew I couldn't just let it go. So I searched you out, so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anyone can help me find it, I figured it's you, Mr. Edgeworth. So, you're saying that I have your father's and Miss Yu's identities backwards? Yes, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace. Kay, you're so honourable. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'll always be here to cheer you on, pal. Even if you are honourable. A thief is a thief. And if you're plotting to commit a crime, then I'm afraid I cannot be complicit. Mr. Edgeworth, and you're a detective, you should be saying the same thing. Ugh, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now? Mr. Edgeworth, what I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of that evil woman. That evil woman? You mean Callisto Yu? I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe... Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me? Come to think of it, I do believe I owe you. Huh? Owe me for what? When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. I'm not so rude as to leave favours unrepaid. Then you mean... Yes. That case has been weighing down my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. If you don't intend to sully your hands in a crime, then I believe I can help you. Mr. Edgeworth, thank you. Yay, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Isn't that great, Kay? Yeah, it sure is, Gummy. Even though he had completely forgotten about her until just now. What is with their chummy relationship? I mean, it's better than earlier. Earlier, he was really jealous, wasn't he? Oh, is that it? The great thief Yatagarasu. After all that time, the true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. Byrne Faraday, Callisto Yu, and Kay Faraday. The phantasmagorically changing identity of the great thief Yatagarasu. And the Yatagarasu's real goal. It would all come to light the day after I made that promise to Kay. Ooh. I think the next one's the last case of the game, you know. The end. You can't see it because I'm in the way, but it says the end. So that's the end of that case. Woohoo! Oh, that was a long one. Oh, and I got an achievement for completing episode 4 without using story mode. Awesome. Right, let's move on over to here so I can discuss my thoughts. Well, that was a very long case, I think. I'm sorry that this part took so long to come out since the last one. I had some real life issues that I've had to sort out in between, streaming and everything as well. So I had to take a short pause, but the next videos will be coming out more frequently. We're almost at the end of the game, and looks like we're finally going to track down Callisto U after 7 years of her being on the loose. I wonder if in the next video, or the next case, I wonder if we'll find her and I'll bring her to justice. But yeah, really fun case, really interesting. It was nice to see a bit of Edgeworth's backstory and Gumshoe's too, and to see how they met Kay in the first place. But yeah, I'm glad that one's over. I hesitate to say that it was drawn out or dragged out, but it did feel a bit long. I feel like we had a lot of time investigating. We're trying to prove Gumshoe not guilty, when I feel like that bit could have been a bit shorter. But either way, that's that one done. On to the next one, the final one of this case, and then it will be a case of, well, playing Investigations 2, I suppose, Prosecutor's Gambit, which looks really interesting as well. Wow. Thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. If you got this far, I really, really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Remember to like, subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already to join my never-ending tea party. It's always tea time here on my channel, and you're welcome anytime. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.